Alright, so I've had a lot of people come into my stream and ask me what has changed for Havoc in 10.1. Is there a new build we're using? How does that change our rotation? Are there any crucial things you need to know this week going into next week, which is the first week of Mythic Plus and Raid? There are some things you need to know, and we'll go over those today. So the first thing I want to show you is the new single target raid build. I have made a cheat sheet that you can use. You can download it and take a look at it. You can save it. This is what it is. It shows the talent build and basically what your rotation consists of. So your essence break window is still the most important. The difference now is you're going to be using throw glaive before your eye beams. That's because of the serrated glaive talent that we're taking here. And then you're just going to be doing your regular essence break window, ventral retreat into essence break. You're going to be prioritizing death sweep inside of essence break. You're going to be spending your inner demon proc with annihilations, and then you'll be using VR again between your essence break windows, and you'll be spending fury to stay in demonic because of cycle of hatred. One thing to remember with this one is that you do have isolated prey, so this is going to be your main fury generator in this build. You're going to be fell rushing for fury, and which it lines up with momentum pretty well because you still have to fell rush for momentum. So this is the single target raid build that you're going to be using in 10.1. There is a link to my Discord down in the description of this video. That's where you're going to be able to find this. You can download the file for yourself. It has the build code that you can input into the game to get this without having to just, look at this and copy each talent. In terms of AoE, everything is the same mostly. The only difference is that once we get our tier, you can probably consider taking 1 point in Blind Fury instead of Burning Hatred. This is because our tier set is not only I-Beam based, but we also have like some extra fury generation from our tier set. You can totally use Blind Fury now if you're good at fury management, but you might find yourself getting stuck. So I would recommend using Burning Hatred for now, and then once you get your tier set, your tier bonus, you could swap over to Blind Fury. So as you can see, the rotation is exactly the same. You're still doing your essence break window, and I-Beam to enter demonic, vengeful retreat plus essence break. You're going to prioritize death sweep inside of the essence break window, and then you're going to be VRing again between your essence break windows to keep up initiative. One thing to keep in mind is you don't ever want to cap on throw glaive charges. Now, if you're doing this in an AoE pack, or there's like 2 or more targets, your essence break window does change a little bit. So for AoE, you're going to be using a death sweep as the first thing in your essence break window, and then from there you'll just be using throw glaive. If you're fighting a single target, you want a death sweep and then use annihilation instead of throw glaive. So pretty basic. Recommended stats are all the same: crit, mastery, haste. So I do have some tips that you can use for this week that are going to just help you get ahead or make sure you're doing the right things that you need to be doing this week. First and foremost, there is a trinket that you could potentially get if you have kind of shitty trinkets at the moment. If you're leveling up an alt, you can definitely get this trinket from the new zone, Zaralek Caverns. So there is a chest that you can open down here in the Glimmerog space. There's a old trunk, and you have to go around and find this mouse. Click on it 5 times, get the key to the chest. You can open it up, and there is the chance of finding this trinket in there. I'll put a link to a guide on how to do that treasure chest in the description below as well. It'll give you the locations of the mouse for each time you have to find it. And it's pretty easy. You can get this trinket from it, and then you'll be able to upgrade it all the way to 411. This trinket is over simming. I would definitely just only use this one if your trinket options, your selections are kind of limited. If you don't have a mythic Grief Torch, if you don't have a mythic Incarnate Icon, or whatever it may be, this is a good thing to get you by for the next little while. The next thing that we want to look at is the heroic dungeon quest for this week. So at the start of the expansion, you were able to go over to this building over here, and there was always 2 quests that you can get that would get you to go do these dungeons, right? Well, now there is 1 quest here. I've already done it, so it's not here, but it gets you to do 5 heroic dungeons for the week. You do those heroic dungeons, and it'll give you a quest where you can either pick a armor chest that has a piece of gear in it, or a crest to upgrade gear. What you want to do is select the chest that has the piece of gear in it, because that piece of gear will be able to be upgraded all the way up to 424. I got a ring. It came at like 411 eye level or something like that. And because in my ring slots, I had my onyx annulet, which is 424, I actually have 2 onyx annulets one for single target, one for AoE. So it allowed me to upgrade this ring all the way up to 424. Unfortunately, it's not an upgrade for me. I can't use this, but for you, you might get a different piece of gear that you can then upgrade to the highest eye level that you have or have had in that slot. So for slots where there's 2 items like a weapon or a trinket or a ring, it'll take the highest eye level of your second slot. So if you have a 424, but you only have a 421 in your second slot, you can upgrade it all the way to 424, but it's going to cost you Drake's crests. So if you do have those, you've been stocking them up throughout your questing, you can use those to upgrade it all the way to 424. But if you do have 2 slots occupied by 424, like you have 2 onyx annulets, it'll allow you to upgrade that piece to 424 with just the flightstones and no crests required at all. So just keep that in mind. So that's what you can do to get a nice piece of gear going into the next week. So now if you're a demon hunter, which I'm assuming you are, and you've watched my previous couple videos, you probably have made yourself the Toxic Thorn Footwraps, or maybe you haven't made them yet, but you were planning to. This week, you can go ahead and spend your Spark of Shadow Flame to upgrade these all the way to 424. So essentially your first craft, I'm going the wrong way. Your first craft is gonna take the Spark of Shadow Flame, but then any upgrades past that are not going to require the spark. So you just have to use the 1 spark initially to get it up to 424. And then from there, it won't cost you anything. So going from 421 all the way up to 424, it did cost me 1 spark of Shadow Flame and these mats. And you just find somebody who can do the recraft, you do it, and it consumes your spark. Now after this, you don't actually have to use a spark again to upgrade it. You're just going to be, using your crests, your enchanted worm crest or your enchanted aspect crests. So that's what you need to upgrade them beyond 424. But just getting them to 424 and getting them up to that new upgrade track will require 1 spark of Shadow Flame. Now this is the best option for us as Havoc Demon Hunters currently. Reason being, the proc effect on these boots does scale with eye level. So it's good to get this up quickly. And then of course you can have your Toxified Armor Patch on another piece of crafted gear, which increases that proc effect by 100%. So it's essentially like having 2 of them. This is especially good for us because the more haste we have, the more it procs. We do have a lot of haste because of Furious Gaze. And also the proc effect can crit, which obviously for reasons is very good for us as Havoc. Some people might ask, why aren't you upgrading a weapon or crafting a weapon with your spark? There's a couple reasons. The first reason being, in the new season, we're going to be farming Krog Tusks from Underrot. You're going to want those for single target. If you're a raider, that's going to be what you have to get. You're going to need 2 Krog Tusks. If you're doing Mythic Plus next week, you're not going to need a Spark of Shadow Flame to upgrade any of that gear. Mythic Plus gear doesn't require sparks. All it requires are the crests, the worm crest, the Drake crests, and flightstones. So you don't have to worry about where you spend your spark. The sparks are only for crafted gear. So this is a crafted piece of gear that we're using that has an embellishment on it. So it makes sense to use this first and upgrade this, not just because of that reason, but also because, it has the benefits of the damage from the proc. Iced Phial of Corrupting Rage has been either nerfed or it's been bugged further beyond the nerf. So previously what it would do is using the phial would grant you a bunch of crit. But then after suffering a certain amount of your health in damage, you were afflicted by a debuff, and that would remove that crit buff, and then you'd have to, restart the cycle. So previously, it would happen after 100% of taking 100% of your health, right? Now you can see the tooltip here says 400% of your health, which you might think is a buff, which it would be. It absolutely would be. But a few things have changed here. One change that they made is that it's not happening at 400%. It's actually happening at 60%. Which is not only just wrong from the tooltip, but it's much lower than what it was previously at 100%. So anytime you take 60% of your health bar, it's getting rid of that crit buff and then putting that damage dot on you. That alone is reason to just not use these anymore. That's where I think maybe the bug might be. Secondly, what they did is they changed the type of damage that actually works, that counts towards that. So previously, environmental damage wouldn't count towards it, but now it's just all damage sources count towards this. So you're hitting that number very quickly, and you're losing the crit buff very quickly. So people did some testing. They had sometimes below 50% uptime on the crit buff, which is just disastrous, right? We used to have much higher. So I would suggest not using these anymore. If you have a bunch of them, go sell them on the auction house. And we are using Elemental Chaos. It's the best that we can find, the best substitute. If things change, if they fix the iced phial of Corrupting Rage, I will be sure to let you guys know. But as of right now, we don't want to use these. The last thing that we can go over is just the potions, the Elemental Potion of Ultimate Power. I have a bunch of them in my bag right here. So these used to be BOP. You previously had to get a alchemist to make them for you, but now you can buy these on the auction house. So not many people know that they are purchasable now on the auction house, so you might be able to find them at a lower price. You can stock up on them now, and the price may potentially go up later. So, you know, you can either flip them or just get a bunch of them while they're cheap before the price goes up. So that's all I have for you. I will be sure to update you guys as we learn more about all of these situations, whether it's with the phial or the Toxic Footwraps. I'll be sure to let you guys know if anything changes. So if you like this video, give it a like, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and hey, check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. If you're looking to support me, it's the best way that you can do so. They take the lowest cut, so you can be confident that the money that you're putting forward is actually going to me and helping me in the best way possible. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.